Hello everyone, my name is Zelda Kelly. I'm here with PsychicSecrets.com, and today welcome to the Great 78. That's right, we're back again with another card, and this time the Lovers. We've got a lot to say about the Lovers card, but before we get started, if I could ask you to please like and subscribe, that would really mean a lot to me. And I can continue to bring you more content, which I love to do anyway. So let's get started. In this Great 78 series, we are going through all 78 cards to give you the in-depth meanings so you can give an in-depth reading. And that's what it's all about. You can read the best for yourself or your clients, your family or friends. But without further ado, let's get started. So now we're talking about the Lovers card. I want to just take a little side trip here and show you another card that can be similar in some aspects, not all. But look at this. Have you ever noticed that? You have your two people here, obviously opposite, chained, and different meanings. But we will get into this when we get to, this is number 15. So when we get to this point, we're going to compare how this card maybe even correlates a little bit with the Lovers card. Very interesting, isn't it? So let's get started. The key here is number 6. That is always the key. Even though this is the 7th number or the 7th card in the deck, we started out with 0. So 0 was number 1, so this actually makes this card the 7th card. This astrological sign obviously is Gemini because, well, look here, we could have, these could be twins. So that is a Gemini. It is an air sign card. The musical note is a D natural. Isn't that wonderful? I love that, the fact that we have musical notes attached to these cards. The meaning of the card can mean a sword because a sword cuts both ways. Interesting, isn't it? And the color of this card is predominantly orange, although this looks a little bit more red on this particular camera. The Hebrew letter is Zain. So other attributes of this card could mean separation, opposition, discrimination. It could even mean smell. It can mean keen perception. There's many things here, but let's get started with these meanings. So obviously two figures, emotionally naked before each other, and of course the divine. And this means really that we need to stop putting up fake walls and a fake persona. We need to let me get this right here. We need to strip away the facade and walk among the garden. This correlates to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, if you haven't figured that one out already. So there are two trees that stand here beside our two friends, beside the woman and beside the man, but these trees also can represent the columns in the High Priestess card that we saw, which means the yin-yang, which means it needs to be balanced. The symbolicity of these trees also represents, as we said, the Garden of Eden, the tree of life, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Isn't that something? The tree of life near the man holds 12 flames. Now, I think some of us back in the old days were thinking, okay, well, that tree is blooming. The 12 flames represents the 12 zodiac signs. So this is all encompassing when you see the Lover card. It takes in all signs. It is not specific to one or the other, even though this is an air sign, an air card, and represents Gemini. The color red also is represented in the Emperor card. And also I think these, since it's a Lover's card, since these flames can represent the passion of will. So this is an interesting thing here, is this tree near the female, or the woman, And basically, if you look very close, it holds a snake. And of course, there are some apples, but you know, this is just the symbolicity here. Like the garden in the Empress card, the fruit also represents fertility of the intellect. But fertility it can also represent fertility, and also, I'm going to say, announce maybe even a pregnancy with the right other cards. The two trees symbolizes balance between the mind and the body. Isn't that something? Now, let's talk about our little friend, the angel up here. This, I know that you can see this, but this angel is actually hovering over the two trees, basically, and over these people. And it is a polarity between the two trees. So she's acting as a divine superconscious and enlightenment that is attained after balancing mind and body. The angel is really represents what we hope to become one day and what the lovers hope to become one day. Isn't that interesting? I love that. So the two lovers here, much of the tarot is based on balancing life. This includes man and woman. Adam and Eve are separated by, of course, their trees and so forth. You see that, how they are separated. And this is an indication that when you pull out this card, that someone may sometimes need to be careful. You see, this man is standing pretty close to these flames. He could get burned. Could you get burned in a relationship? A woman can be tricked by the tree of knowledge. Could you be tricked by a relationship? So both need temperance, and that's why we have the angel in the temperance card to bring the balance. This is such an interesting card to pull out. And both need the temperance so they do not harm each other or get harmed in the relationship, I'm going to say emotionally, and that they can unite together as one. There's a lot going on in this card. So just because the Lover's card comes out doesn't mean, oh yes, there's the relationship. Well, sometimes it can mean that. But as we see, not all times that it does, and it can lend a warning to us. So we see this mountain here between the two lovers. This mountain represents the struggle that sometimes a relationship can go through, or even a struggle for enlightenment. When we go back to the Fool card, the mountain is what separates us from, or the Fool from, the destination. So if these two lovers unite, then they must together face the trials ahead. Isn't that something? This card has so much more meaning and a lot of things going on than what we would even expect. Very interesting, isn't it? So the snake completes the picture of the Garden of Eden. Look at him here. I know you can see him pretty well. And he represents the temptation of the knowledge for personal gain. So this is also a warning. Don't get into a relationship for personal gain. We must have knowledge, obviously, about the other person in order to get into a relationship, but also it is indicating that we must use the knowledge that we gain to unite and never to divide us like we are here. There's so many things that can divide us in a relationship, as you know. So meaning, an upright meaning here. Well, the upright symbolizes intimacy that you may have with someone in your life or have had. It can mean openness. It can mean many things, communication, but it also can mean choice and also can mean self-discovery. The Hierophant, we talked about the Hierophant, was all about following rules because he goes by the letter. He goes by the rules. But this Lover's card really can mean that sometimes you discover that you have your own rules. Isn't that interesting too? I love this card because it tells us everything that we need to know about the relationship. And when you lay out the correlating cards or cards around it, it can really help us tell the story of how a relationship is going to go. Now, as I've said before, I do not read reverse meanings, but I'm going to give you the reverse meaning of this card, or upside down. And it signals that there is definitely a need, or a disconnect, actually, with communication. So in reverse, when this is upside down, you're not communicating not only with your lover or with even your loved ones. You're going through a rough patch. It can mean that you need to talk to them and find out what's going on. And also means that there is a lack of self-love for yourself. And it's an invitation for you to start a journey of self-discovery in order to get back into the emotional roots of your well-being. I love that too, that there's a lot to fathom. You may have to watch this one again in order to encapsulate all of the meanings that we have here. So this is an interesting card. I would be interested in seeing how you feel about this card. Comment below if you have something additional that you would like to know. But I think that this card can give us such a huge, broad idea of what is going on in the relationship, especially when it shows up in a reading. And I love this. I love this. We learn something every day, don't we? So thank you so much for stopping by into the Great 78 with the Lover's card. The next time we meet, oh boy, this is another good one. This is the Chariot. And so many elements going on here with our Chariot card. And we're going to talk about this one too. So thank you so much for stopping by. I love having you. We're going to put him right here. I love having you. I love being here with you. And thanks so much again for stopping by the Great 78. And I'll see you again next time.